They say the worst part isn't the fall, it's what comes after the landing. You've just had what people call an ego death. Maybe it came through a spiritual awakening. Maybe it cracked you open during a crisis, a breakup, a psychedelic trip, or years of internal struggle that finally rose to the surface. However it happened, you felt it. Your old self, the identity you clung to for so long, collapsed. It's gone, and for a moment it was peaceful, even freeing. But now you're stuck in the silence. No goals, no drive, no clear self to fight for. Just this empty space where you used to be. And that's where most people get lost. We think awakening means glowing forever in some cosmic bliss. But the reality is it is messy, disorienting. It can leave you lying on the floor of your life, trying to remember why anything even matters anymore. What actually happened is this. The mask you wore for the world fell away. The false layers, the roles you performed, the scripts you followed out of fear, conditioning, or the need for approval gone. And though the collapse feels like an ending, it is also a beginning. It's the birth of something far more real than what you had before. But how do you move from that hollow, post-ego death phase into inspired, meaningful action? How do you rebuild without faking it again? That's what we're going to explore in this video, and trust me, it's not about becoming a productivity machine. It's about something much deeper. How to tap into soul-level motivation, the kind that isn't tied to external validation or identity, but to truth. There are powerful clues waiting for you. So stay with me until the end, because we're going to flip the script on how you think about motivation, purpose, and healing after ego death. And by the end, you'll have a new framework for moving forward. Not back to your old self, but toward the version of you that was hiding underneath all along. So here's where most people end up after ego death, in the void. Not depression exactly, not apathy. It's more like nothing sticks. The things you used to chase, success, popularity, being somebody, don't feel real anymore. Goals feel hollow. Affirmations feel fake. Vision boards gather dust. You don't lack motivation. You lack a self to be motivated for. This is the point where we either shrink back into an old identity, numb ourselves, reattach to shallow goals, or begin the slow, sometimes painful path of discovering the deeper self. That's the part of you that includes everything you've ignored, your unconscious patterns, your hidden strengths, your quiet truths. It's not about constructing another mask. It's about integrating what's been waiting in the shadows and creating a life in alignment with soul. There's a saying, in each of us there is another whom we do not know. He speaks to us in dreams and tells us how differently he sees us from the way we see ourselves. This is the beginning of your new direction. Not by force, but by listening. But let's be real. This stage feels confusing as hell. You're not lazy. You're recalibrating. You're realizing how much of your life was built on survival, not sovereignty. So if you're sitting in that space right now where nothing feels urgent and the old ambitions don't light you up, don't panic. You're not lost, you're transitioning. Life doesn't abandon you in this space. It sends messages, symbols, dreams, synchronicities, quiet impulses to guide you toward your next chapter. But you have to stay open. The new self can't be forced, but it will emerge. Before we continue, if you love expanding your mind and exploring the deeper layers of life, make sure to subscribe to Fractal Wisdom to never miss a moment of clarity, insight, and soul-aligned truth. So, you've hit the void. You're floating in that weird space where the old motivations don't work and the new ones haven't quite shown up yet. Let's be honest, this part is weirdly exhausting. You're not doing much, but you feel drained. You want to move, create, build something meaningful, but it's like your body and mind just won't sync up. Everything feels slow, heavy, pointless. Now here's the paradox. What if the thing holding you in that stuck place isn't the emotion itself, but your resistance to it? Every time you feel tired and beat yourself up for it, you're not resting, you're wrestling, you're burning mental energy trying to be in a different state than the one you're in. And that resistance, that inner argument, is what drains you. And not the tiredness, but the fight against the tiredness. There's wisdom in this. What you resist not only persists, but grows stronger. That isn't just metaphor. It's about the shadow, the part of ourselves we repress, judge, and avoid. When we resist what's inside us, we split from ourselves, we create internal conflict, we leak energy pretending we're fine. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you let yourself be tired fully, when you surrender to it? What happens when, instead of shaming your lack of motivation, you sit with it, breathe with it, and listen to it? You begin to feel what's underneath. When you stop resisting the so-called negative state, when you allow it to exist without judgment, you create space for it to move. That's when things begin to shift. Picture it. You're lying in bed, nothing sounds exciting, your inner critic kicks in, you're wasting time, you should get up and do something, why are you like this? But what if instead of spiraling into shame you said, I feel lazy right now, that's okay, I'll let myself feel it and not try to escape it. Suddenly your body relaxes, the tight grip loosens, the mind softens. And maybe not instantly, but an hour later, or even 10 minutes later, something stirs, a spark, a curious thought, a small urge to move or create or step outside. That's not forced motivation, that's organic momentum. Because emotions aren't good or bad from a higher perspective. They're just energy waiting to move, to be expressed, to complete their cycle. Sadness isn't weakness, it's the body releasing grief or loss. Anger isn't evil, it's unspoken truth trying to protect your boundaries. Fear is your nervous system trying to keep you safe, maybe in outdated ways, but still with intent. Children know this naturally. Watch them. When they're sad, they cry loudly. Then they're done. When they're angry, they scream it out. 5 minutes later, they're playing again like nothing happened. That's because they don't judge their emotions. They just feel them until we teach them not to. We teach them, good boys don't cry, anger is bad, calm down, be strong, don't be lazy. And slowly they suppress. That suppression creates a shadow, a hidden part of our psyche that holds every emotion, impulse, truth, and desire we've ever disowned. And ironically, your real power lives in that shadow. Your creativity, passion, boldness, authenticity, all buried beneath the rules of should and shouldn't. So if you're feeling unmotivated, tired, moody, uninspired, that's good. That's your fuel. You don't need to fix it. You need to feel it, and when you do, it transforms. Here's something surprisingly powerful. Play with the paradox. Let yourself toy with the idea. What if laziness was your muse? What if you wrote a poem called Fueled by Laziness or an essay titled The Productive Power of Doing Nothing? What if your sadness became water-softening stone? What if your fear inspired a story called The Brave Coward? Your imagination loves contradiction. It lights up when things don't quite fit. That tension births meaning. Once you flip the label, your creativity awakens. You stop escaping the emotion and start dancing with it. This is true creativity, not the polished version you see online, but the raw, soulful kind. That's your unconscious speaking, offering symbols and metaphors to express what logic can't. So next time you feel off, don't fight it, write from it, paint from it, speak from it. Let the paradox be the punchline. Your resistance isn't your enemy, it's your untapped artist, and your shadow is holding the paintbrush. By now, you've probably realized something most people never do. The path forward after ego death isn't about pushing harder, it's about listening deeper. This is where we meet the self, not your job title, not your Instagram bio, not even your personality type. The self with a capital S is the totality of who you are. It's your soul's blueprint, your conscious mind and your shadow, your wounds and your potential. It isn't just who you are today. It's who you were always meant to be. The self wants to guide you. It sends messages all the time, dreams that feel like clues, strange synchronicities, random urges to write or move or call someone, feelings that don't make logical sense but somehow feel true. But we miss it because we're trained to only trust logic, only trust action, only trust results. Meanwhile, real motivation doesn't come from pressure. It comes from resonance, from noticing what feels real even if it's quiet. From following the gentle tug, not the loud demand. And yes, this is hard. Most people avoid their shadow not because they're weak, but because truly feeling can feel like losing control. And losing control feels like losing your ground. You still have to show up for work, run your business, take care of your family, keep life moving. So of course you armor yourself with logic and routines. Of course you fear that if you let go even for a second, everything will crash. That's not failure, that's survival, and it's valid. But here's the truth. Feeling your sadness, your tiredness, your anger doesn't destroy your life. It grounds you in it. Imagine this. You've been sitting in the void, letting yourself feel, not resisting. And one afternoon an urge pops up. Rearrange your room, go for a walk. Open a blank document and type a few sentences that don't make sense yet. You almost dismiss it, what's the point? But it feels light, expansive. That's yourself speaking, follow it. This kind of symbolic, nonlinear intelligence is where the gold lies. It's the bridge between your conscious and unconscious. When you allow both voices to speak, something new emerges, a direction that isn't forced but revealed. But it's hard to trust that in a culture that treats rest like weakness, intuition like fluff, and productivity as the ultimate measure of worth. You were raised in that system, so of course you doubt yourself. Of course you fear doing nothing, falling behind, staying stuck forever. But the truth is, the soul doesn't run on deadlines, it runs on alignment. And when you start honoring your energy, listening to your deeper impulses, and making space for feeling instead of constantly fixing, something shifts, slowly, then suddenly. You start wanting to move again, not because you should, but because it feels meaningful. You start writing not to be productive, but to express something real. You reconnect not to perform, but to relate authentically, and this is where the magic begins. Motivation stops being something you chase and starts being something you channel. You become a vessel for the self, for life itself, for the inner artist, inventor, healer, builder, creator that's been buried under the rubble of who you thought you had to be. Ask yourself, what has my deeper self been trying to say lately? If you don't know the answer, good. That means you're listening. Now you might wonder, okay, but what do I do with this? Life is still happening. Bills exist. The world doesn't pause just because you've gone through a spiritual death and started waking up to truth. Here's what's important. You still have an ego, and that's okay. The goal isn't to kill it, but to align it. Your ego is your interface. It's how you operate in the world. It helps you decide, protect yourself, set boundaries. It only becomes a problem when it pretends it's all there is. The path isn't about choosing between soul and structure. It's about letting your structure serve your soul. And this is where motivation takes on a new flavor. You're not moving just to achieve, you're not building out of fear of falling behind, you're creating because something in you needs to speak, to give, to pour itself into the world. So start small, let your routines be soulful. Let your work have rhythm, let your creativity move in cycles. Care for your body because you love it, not because it's a machine. Let your mornings be soft if that's what you need. Let your evenings be sacred. And when resistance shows up, as it will, don't fight it. Ask gently, what are you trying to tell me? Because now you know how to hear the answer. You've met the part of you that doesn't need to hustle to matter. You've started to see how sadness, laziness, even fear are not blocks. They're messengers. They carry the keys to your next poem, your next idea, your next direction. This is the gift of ego death. It strips away everything false so that what's true can finally speak. And when you let that truth shape your actions, when you let your shadow, your stillness, your paradoxes guide how you move, how you show up, how you give, you become whole. You stop performing and start expressing. You stop pushing and start aligning. You stop chasing life and start living it fully, wildly, softly, in all its beautiful contradiction. That's not just motivation, that's embodiment. That's the self alive in the world. And if you've made it this far, you might already feel it, that quiet knowing, that subtle shift. It's not loud, not flashy, not viral, but it's real, and that's enough. If this spoke to you, if you felt even a tiny shift while watching, hit that subscribe button and join a space for deep thinkers, soul seekers, and those who are done pretending. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share what part of this landed with you most, or where you are right now in your own process of awakening. Your story matters. and you never know who it might help.